Welcome ladies and gentlemen to part 2 of my Bum to Billionaire series, where I'm starting as a new player and grinding all the way to $1 billion. Last episode, I played a lot of Cluck and Bell and No Way Out to earn myself a Kasaka submarine as well as the legendary Sparrow helicopter, and you guys probably know what's coming next. I'm about to play the absolute crap out of the Cayo Perico heist to make millions of dollars in this episode, but I won't just play these heists over and over aimlessly. I've actually got a goal for this episode, and that's to get the Oppressor MK2 flying missile bike, which is the single most OP vehicle in the entire game. However, there are a few obstacles standing in my way. First is the price. The Oppressor MK2 costs $8 million, and after last video's events, I'm broke. I spent most of my cash on that submarine and Sparrow helicopter. Also, I'm gonna need a terabyte to modify my Oppressor because it comes with machine guns by default, and an Oppressor MK2 without missiles is like an Instagram thought without filters. So yeah, mark that total purchase price up by a further $1.4 million. But enough complaining about the cash. Let's do our first Cayo Perico heist. I haven't done one on a brand new account in years, so I'm actually excited for this one because the first Cayo always contains a few unique moments that you won't ever see again. Like this gather intel mission where instead of stealing the smuggler's Vellum aircraft directly, we instead have to fly to LSIA and meet up with English Dave and the Kind Music Boys. English Dave is his eccentric self, as always, and in a partying mood, but he also understands that we're basically flying into the jaws of death with this mission, and one slip up could result in El Rubio feeding us to his panther, so he gives me a few words of advice.
Do what I say, not what I do. Let's try and come out of this with all of our ears and a bit of suntan, okay?
Soon afterwards, we also get a visit from Dr. Dre himself, which serves as a nice teaser for the VIP contract because originally Dre was supposed to accompany us on this flight to Cayo Perico, but it turns out that someone stole his phone full of unreleased tracks, so he's now making a return trip to base, and as we know, he'll be hiring Franklin's agency to recover it for him.
Tell me you guys are pulling up right now.
No, boss, we got a problem. The car is gone.
Damn, what the fuck?
Shit, Dre, what's in that phone? Anything about me?
Private financial shit, naked pictures, but more importantly, a lot of my fucking music demos, unreleased shit. This could be a fucking problem.
Feel like this vacation over before the motherfuckers got started.
Hey, guess what? We're not going. We're gonna send somebody else.
I had my flip-flops, weed, condoms, all packed up.
What? Oh, yeah, right. Whatever. Right, let's enjoy some of that airline.
After watching the exclusive first-time cutscenes for Cayo, I land at the island, we meet the psychopathic drug lord El Rubio who's running this whole show, and I chauffeur him around the island while pretending that I'm a moron who definitely isn't about to rob him dry. By the way, these cutscenes are all unskippable, and they remain that way until just a year ago when Rockstar finally gave us the ability to skip a cutscene that we'd already seen once. So thank you very much, Rockstar, because I sure as heck don't want to waste several hours just on cutscenes through the course of this challenge. Then, after sneaking out of El Rubio's stupid party, I stealthily make my way towards the communications tower because that's where the CCTV cameras all feed into, and if I hack into that box, I can know exactly where El Rubio is storing the goodies. Nope, that's not it. That's not it either. Ah, there it is. By the way, in case you guys didn't know, the very first time you do Cayo, you'll always get the Madrazo documents as your primary target. Later on, you'll randomly cycle between Tequila, the Pink Diamond, bearer bonds, as well as the Ruby Necklace, but this time it's going to be comprising pictures of Trevor with Mini Madrazo's mom. And since I'm doing Cayo for the first time, I'll also have to scout every single point of interest on the map. But first, a quick dance.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, these idiots still have no clue what's going on, so I'll just continue with my criminal activities on the island. Let's see here. First, we have to go to the North Dock. Okay, that's the North Dock right there. Now, if I can just make it there without hitting these dang trees. Okay, I really need to stop hitting these things. Photo sent. Let's now head to the shed to check for some white candy powder. No candy this time, but at least we got that grass. I also find some bolt cutters, the north drop zone for the Annihilator helicopter entry, and the famous drainage tunnel right underneath El Rubio's butt, which we'll be using to make our entry in the finale since it's the quickest as well as easiest way to get inside without raising any alarms. I continue to scope out the island here, and eventually I'm caught by one of the guards, but I go right back in because the security over here absolutely sucks. After scoping out the airstrip, I make my return to Los Santos where me and Pavel cook up the ultimate plan to infiltrate Cayo Perico, which basically boils down to stealing a whole lot of construction equipment. And this boat right here, which is called the Longfin, it's the only boat in GTA 5 Online that isn't a total piece of trash, and it moves really fast, which is exactly what we're gonna need to navigate around the Cayo Perico island. I don't have my own Phantom Wedge right now, but that's not an issue. I'll just steal one that Pavel located for me. My Sparrow helicopter makes this grind a lot faster, and I'm not too worried about griefers because most low levels at this stage in the game game don't want to go up against a Sparrow, especially one that's equipped with missiles and countermeasures. Now, I must have gotten a little too excited because not only did I kill the bad guys on the technical, but I also blew up the Phantom Wedge that I was supposed to steal. So yeah, time to retry the mission here. On my second attempt, I wisely exited my chopper and took out the machine gunner with a sniper rifle. There, much cleaner. Then I stole the long fin from the police station while Pavel radioed in some words of wisdom into my head.
Russia, we said that it is easy to steal the fridge, but hard to run away from the police.
That's cool and all, bro, but can you just give me the GPS coordinates for the dock? I didn't get a reply, so I unalived to remove my wanted level, and Pavel was still yapping when I came back to life.
Deliver the boat to the docks. I have contact who will get it ready and keep it safe.
Finally, now I can drive in peace. After that, I decided to head over to the Diamond Casino. Not to gamble, but to get the safe key from Rubio's head of security who owns a penthouse over here. Now, I'm still a brokey personally, which means I don't have a penthouse, but what I do have is this gun, and I'm gonna use it to take everyone out inside the penthouse and steal the key. My entry was actually quite discreet, but after a failed melee attempt, I had the entire security detail on me and I looked like a total moron in front of the guards, so I pulled out the carbine and started blasting. Then, after collecting the key card, I escaped from the cops in a stolen car and headed to my next equipment prep, which is the fingerprint cloner. This one was pretty easy. I just walked into a warehouse, killed a few thugs, hacked a PC, and headed to a second building for the cloner. With my Sparrow, I managed to complete the whole thing in about 3 minutes. I also grabbed some unmarked weapons from the Penrith building by landing on the rooftop here, and even though I tried sneaking in through these glass doors, my mistake was shooting the door to open it, and so I raised the alarm and we got ourselves in an old-fashioned gunfight. I easily won because there are very few enemies here and there's plenty of cover. Then I grabbed my weapons and escaped through the very same spot that I used to enter the building, which is again, the rooftop. Now we just need one more thing, and that's the cutting torch so we can break in through the steel grate in front of the drainage tunnel. For this piece of kit, I'll pretend to be a construction worker by putting on a yellow hard hat. Then I'll take this stroll inside the job site, hoping that I just don't get caught. Awesome. The disguise ended up working perfectly here. With all the prep work done, it's finally time for our first Cayo Perico on this account, as well as our very first $1 million paycheck. Along the way, I was joined by a friend, Cyril98, who's level 250, and he's going to be helping us with our very first Cayo Perico finale. Our compound entry point is the drainage tunnel, approach vehicle is obviously the long fin, time of day is day, and all set. Alright, let's do this. The two of us sneak in through the drainage tunnel, as planned, but my boy Cyril98 decides that standing in front of the guards like an idiot is a recipe for success, and he ruins the whole plan within seconds. I guess his internet crapped out or something. Either way, I dropped some nades to fail the mission, and at the checkpoint, my teammate quit, so I decided to quit as well and redo the heist. This time, I found a different teammate, who's level 150, and after listening to Mini Madrazo's shitty pep talk for the second time, we headed out for the heist finale. Once again, we hit the drainage tunnel with a torch and swam through 100 tons of sewage water to infiltrate the compound. Thankfully, my teammate isn't AFK this time, and we collect both key cards, which means we can sneak into the super secret storage rooms and steal some gold, which is the best type of secondary loot you can get in Cayo, and it's only possible if you have 2 or more players because you have to swipe the key cards on both sides of the door simultaneously. But unfortunately here, we still lack coordination and chemistry, and the guards are alerted once again because I accidentally hit a wall while trying to headshot this guy. A few grenades later, on our third try, we finally made it into the basement, stole the Madrazo files, and we even got the secondary loot by swiping our keycards together. But as we were heading out of the office, the guards discovered a body that my teammate left laying outside, so even though we've both been caught, I tell him to follow me towards the second storage lockup, and we rush to swipe both our cards together, allowing me to get some gold in my bag. The heist is now in full-on aggressive mode at this point, and the guards are just too overwhelming for us, so we redo it from the checkpoint for the 4th time, and 4 must have been our lucky number, because we were able to get full loot bags and steal the primary target without getting detected. It took us a while, but we got there in the end. And hey look, we even made it to the exit without getting shot at. What a miracle, right? Now, you probably heard alarm bells going off as my friend threw a grenade before we left. But honestly, that's fine, because in Cayo Perico, as long as you press that confirm button at the exit, it doesn't matter if you shoot a guard or blow up a car. Once you're outside the compound, your aggro will be reset to 0 and you'll be back in stealth mode, with the guards completely forgetting about everything you did, as long as you press that button before breaking stealth. Now, all that's left is riding this bike towards the cliff while trying to avoid the adamantium trees of Cayo Perico. Then all you need to do is just jump into the ocean like this and swim towards those familiar sea mines to wrap up the mission. And look at that. We're done. Madrazo congratulates us and also throws us a welcoming party in our honor, the first of many. By the way, those are the compromising documents Madrazo was talking about earlier. You can definitely see why Miguel's dad didn't want El Rubio to have them. And with that, our very first Cayo is complete. We didn't secure the Elite Challenge because of the quick restarts, but I still made over $1.5 million, which means I can either buy the base terabyte, or I can grind even more Cayo Pericos and make even more money while trying not to give myself a brain aneurysm from all this repetition. Being a well-adjusted GTA Online player, I naturally chose the more brain damage route with the more Cayo Pericos, as I want to see that money counter go brr. But the game basically told me to fuck off, so I decided I'll come back later with another teammate, because Cayo, when you do it with a teammate, has a cooldown of just 48 minutes, versus the enormous 2 hour and 24 minute cooldown that you get by doing this heist solo. And there's absolutely no way I'm waiting 2.5 hours for each Cayo run. So I'm personally going to be running duos or even trios on all of these until I get my Oppressor MK2. This time, I can do the gather intel mission without watching that 30-minute cutscene from earlier, and I just have to fly to where the smugglers are and steal their plane for myself. So that's what I do. One thing you guys should definitely do here is retract your landing gear ASAP to reduce drag and climb to over 900 feet, because that's when your aircraft gets a slight speed boost. It's not really super advantageous if you get a good spawn like Lago Zancudo, but if you spawn your Velum all the way up in Polito Bay, for example, or something, it will cut down your mission time by over 2 to 3 minutes, and I think that's super worth it for such an easy trick. After landing on the island, I do my second comms hack, and I forgot to explain this part earlier, so here's how you do it. First, do you see those numbers on the left column? Those are voltage values, and on the right side of the screen, you've got your multipliers, 1x, 2x, and 10x. Your goal is to get the total voltage in the middle by combining the numbers with the multipliers. This time, I've got to hit 78 volts, starting from 3, 7, and 5 volts. That's 7 times 10 plus 5 times 1, plus 3 times 1, 70 plus 3 plus 5 equals 78. It's as easy as that, honestly, and now that you know this, you're never gonna fail a comms tower hack in Cayo Perico ever again. Okay, it looks like we got Tequila this time. It's the worst primary target of them all, and it has a 60% spawn rate if you do Cayo within 24 hours of the last one, which is what I'm doing right now. I'll take it, I guess, because I know if we nail that Elite Challenge with a full loot bag, it's still possible to make close to $1 million with Cincimito Tequila. Now, I just have to pray that my teammate for this Cayo run isn't a total potato. Thankfully though, we nailed a full stealth run with the Elite Challenge on our first try. The two of us made it out of the island with the tequila and 2 bags full of gold bars, and I got over $1.1 million. It feels really awesome to be making these huge amounts of money with each heist, especially when you remember all the hardships I went through in the first episode of this series to secure that Casaca and Sparrow. Our investment is finally paying off, big time, and I've already recuperated the cost for my submarine with just 2 heists. But remember, we won't be holding on to this money for very long, because my goal here is to make another huge investment later in this video, and to get the Oppressor MK2, I'll first have to buy a terabyte. That way, I can do the client jobs with my terabyte and unlock the trade price of $6 million. Plus, there's only one place you can modify the MK2, and that's the Terabyte Special Vehicle Workshop. And as we all know, without the Oppressor MK2's missiles, the MK2 is a dog with no bite. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna need a couple $1 million for that before I save another $6 million for my MK2 itself. I have over $3 million in my bank right now, and I brought that figure up to $3.4 million with a quick no way out heist. Once again, I was an idiot and didn't enable hard mode, which would have given me even more money, but at least I secured my Elite Challenge because I didn't die a single time in the finale. I did the hack without failing, and I also got 36 headshots in total. At this stage, I'm almost halfway there to my $8 million goal, but as soon as I open up the Warstock website and clicked buy on the Terabyte, I realized I was missing something very important in my equation: a garment factory. Either that or a nightclub, because unless you have one of those 2 businesses, you cannot purchase the Terabyte. No Terabyte, no MK2 trade price, and no missiles either. So now I have to spend an additional $2 million, bringing my total for this episode to a whopping $10 million. And guess what that means? Giving myself even more brain rot from Cayo spam. Can you guys tell how excited I am for my voice right now? That's right, I'm very hyped for what's about to transpire over the next 2 days. Anyway, after purchasing my garment factory for $2.35 million, I also bought a Terabyte for $1,370,000. This is the base configuration without any upgrades, so I'll have to spend a few $100,000 on that special vehicle workshop later. After both of those purchases, I'm down to just $281,000, so once again, it's time to run a few more heists. But then as I was heading towards my submarine, I thought, instead of running even more Cayo, since we have this brand new garment factory, why not do all 4 FIB files? Because that's $1 million plus right there. and I get to play actually entertaining missions instead of the same old Kyle slop for the 5,000th time. So that's what I'm about to do. I'm completing all 4 FIB files, and after Pavel's marvelous introduction to our brand new business, I met the operations director for our heists, a former FIB agent by the name of Jody Marshall, who gave me a quick rundown of all the high-tech gear we've stuffed into the basement over here, and all the while Pavel is desperately trying to hit on her, despite Jody's complete indifference towards him. With the formalities out of the way, I did a quick tour of my terabyte and decided to do a few client jobs for that Mark II trade price before doing the FIB files I was looking to do. These barely took any time at all, as I was using a combination of my Sparrow and the free Ocelot Virtue we got to do the client jobs. First was Robbery in Progress, where I easily dealt with the minigun wielding juggernaut by pumping some homing missiles into his face. Yeah, not so tough now, are ya? Then I squeezed in a quick stash house and proceeded to do Robbery in Progress a second time, as it's the easiest client job of them all. The Juggernaut took revenge on me this time because I was trash talking him earlier, but I got back at the door camping asshole with a grenade. Then I also did Data Sweep, which is the second client job, and for this one, I just had to fly around on my Sparrow while hacking a bunch of vehicles through my SecuraServe app. My Sparrow, being a Sparrow, decided to quit on me as I was going for the final vehicle. This thing has more smoke coming out of the back than one of Snoop Dogg's pipes, and it's twice as likely to explode into a ball of flames, so I bail out at the last moment, and because I timed the skydive perfectly, I landed right on top of the last vehicle. Then I simply drove back with it to collect my cash and complete my third client job. Just 2 more to go for that Mark II trade price, mind you, but my jobs are all on cooldown right now, so I decided to do a setup for the prison break heist, and even though I don't have my own high-end apartment, I got an invite from Baka Saga over here who was running the heist, and we did the setup together. This is the first mission, the one where you have to steal a Velum airplane, and because we all have armored cars and plenty of experience with flying stuff, it was a total walk in the park. I got $28,000 for it, which isn't a whole lot, but it's setting up the finale, which is going to pay a lot more. Then I did a quick cluck and bell, and because this was my second attempt on it, I still can't go to the warehouse manually. Instead, I have to hack the van for the 4th mission and enter the garage the normal way. If you were there for it, in the first part of the series, I was unable to stealth the mission because I got a little too trigger happy, and you'll be glad to know that things have not changed much because I got caught once again and ended up murdering the crap out of everyone in the garage before making my exit. Once again, it was an aggressive finale, but that's the way I like it, and once again, I made it out with an easy $500,000. For my last 2 client jobs, I decided to do Collector's Piece and Deal Breaker, both of which have a 2-player minimum, unlike all other client jobs which can be done solo. And these are also the 2 worst ones in terms of mission structure and payment, because half the time you're driving around aimlessly, and the other half the time you're staring at the map, searching for beacons that appear and disappear randomly. Fortunately for me, my teammate had an Oppressor MK2, and he cleaned up the whole map pretty fast while I was fumbling around in my Sparrow. He secured 2 collector's pieces while I managed to find the last one in the security van right here. It took me forever to blow it up, but I grabbed the loot and flew to the drop off with my teammate. Then we did Deal Breaker, but along the way we were interrupted by a Deluxo griefer who shot at me and my friend. My friend was in an NPC car and got blown up in 1 hit, but we got him back because after dying, my buddy pulled out a railgun and sent the Deluxo straight to the scrap heap. After dealing with that shit can though, the 2 of us found the deal with the help of my scanner and we broke it up. Now, with 5 client jobs completed, I've unlocked the trade price for my Mark II, but I still don't have nearly enough cash on me. So I do a 3rd Cayo Perico, and this time we've got the whole goon squad. 4 people, all coming together to screw Mr. El Rubio and steal some valuable goods. One of us, Konsu, was rank 14, and I was worried that he'd screwed it up because he was new to the game, but thankfully, we made it to the airstrip unmolested, and I got out of the boat and ran around collecting my secondary loot while the rest of the squad remained inside the boat. Then we snuck into Rubio's compound through the drainage tunnel and grabbed some gold, along with the primary loot, which was bearer bonds this time. Not as good as the pink diamond, but way better than tequila for sure. Once we got outside, all hell broke loose, and Konsu ended up dying. We then restarted from the checkpoint, which fails the elite challenge, but at least we can steal our loot in peace without getting shot at, right? Nope. This time, I accidentally hit the wall with my bullets, and it alerted the guards once again. Alright, attempt number 3. Here we go. Maybe we'll get lucky this time. Nope, that wasn't it either. So on our 4th attempt, we actually managed to make it to the exit, just like the first Cayo Perico heist that I did on this account. That one also worked on the 4th attempt, and I think I'm seeing a pattern here, only it's not a very good one. Anyway, all 4 of us idiots managed to make it out of the island with $2.6 million in loot, and I got to keep nearly $1.3 million of that with my 55% share. Then I sat down for a quick Fleeca job with my friend Lighting08, and we made it through with 0 major hiccups, thankfully. We didn't get the elite challenge, but I still received $240,000 with the first time completion bonus, and I also unlocked the trade price for the armored Kuruma. which doesn't really matter at this point because I already purchased that car for full price back in episode 1, but whatever. It's a nice little achievement on this new account. After that, I did the prison break heist, and it's my goal to finish all 5 OG heists on this new account for the Criminal Mastermind Challenge, but today I'll only be doing 2 of them. Maybe I'll finish the other 3 in the next couple of episodes, who knows. But for Prison Break, I had already done the first setup, so I got the crew together for my last Cayo attempt, and we made it through the whole thing without too much trouble. I mean, we did have a couple of screw-ups here and there, like when the Vellum blew up while I was extracting Rashkovsky from the prison, but other than that, it worked out fine, and I got 50% of the take, which was $350,000. Then, because document forgery was on 2 times for the week, I foolishly bought an office and decided to do a cell mission. Do not repeat my mistake, because this is the single worst business in the entire game, and even on double money, I was at a massive loss after buying this piece of trash business. I then grabbed a free rocket Voltic, which made me feel slightly better, and I did some contact missions for Gerald because those were also on money bonus for the week. Even with the 3 times money bonus, I only made about $11,000 for an OG mission, which is the best explanation of why nobody likes Gerald and his stupid contact missions. I also had done a resupply for my acid lab earlier in the day, which is the business you should run in place of the document forgery office, so I then sold my acid lab for $92,000. It was only partially filled, but I had my mind on other more lucrative activities, like running Cayo for the 4th time, which I did, and I got Sensamito tequila, again. For my 3rd Cluck and Bell, I finally got the garage trick to work because this was my 3rd attempt and the game finally allowed me to directly step foot inside the building without having to hack the vans first. But if you think I got the stealth check right this time, I'm sorry to disappoint, because once again, I murdered the crap out of everyone and locked in my aggressive approach for later in the finale. But hey, if there's no one to report it, did the attack really take place? So in a way, it was stealthy after all, I would argue. My cash reserves after this Cluck and Bell are at $4 million now, and I'd need just another $2 million for that discounted Oppressor MK2. I've already earned $8 million throughout this video, and we're so close to that goal right now, which is why, against my better judgment, I decided to give myself even more brain damage by doing a 5th Cayo. This time, I'm joined by Mr. Meatwad with 17 Ds, and after a couple of botches on the stealth, we make it out of the island with some gold, some cash, and even more tequila. Because Rockstar really hates me. When it was all said and done though, I had an extra $1.1 million in my bank, and because Meatwad over here is a replay glitcher, we immediately followed it up with a 2nd run of Cayo, and this time we got the ruby necklace as our primary target. This time I made $379,000 because Meatwad was the host and he already had everything prepped, so I got nearly $380,000 for just 10 minutes of gameplay. Well, more like 15 if you want to count all the screw-ups, but let's not get too pedantic here. What matters is that I now have the cash to spend $6 million on a brand new Oppressor MK2, which is exactly what I do. And then I take my brand new Harry Potter broomstick on a quick joyride. I've obviously flown the Mark II a lot on my other accounts, but it has been a long time since I earned one from scratch on a brand new account. And I must say, it feels absolutely awesome, even with the crappy machine guns. In the next episode, Bum to Billionaire Part 3, I'll be outfitting this bike with some missiles, and I'll also unlock the 2nd best business in the game after the Kasatka, so you definitely want to stick around for that one. By the way, drop your guesses in the comment section down below as to what that business will be. If you want the answer, it's in my ranking every business from worst to best video, so go watch that one. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on it if you found this video informative or just entertaining. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, specifically twitch.tv/HazardousHTTV, and I'll see you guys in the next GTA 5 online video. Adios, amigos.